that what he says? Good evening, 6 o'clock, and I think it's about time we get tonight's version of the city council meeting underway. This time I'd like to call it to order and ask our clerk to do roll call.
Josh Earl,
Present.
Gwen Hoffman,
Present.
Mitch Magnus,
Present.
Larry Phillips,
Present.
Charlie Pierce,
Present.
Reed Petty,
Present.
Joel Williams,
Present.
and Wayne Coe.
Present.
You have a full vote.
At this time, if you would, please stand for invocation. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you this evening, thanking you for this beautiful day that you've given us. Lord, as we go forth with the new season coming on and the leaves blooming and stuff, we just thank you for the blessings you give us here in Arkansas. Lord, as we go forth with this meeting tonight, we just ask for your guidance and direction in all the decisions that are made here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I need a motion to approve the minutes of February 26th. If there's,
I'll make that motion.
have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. All right, tonight is the meeting where we go into the new business at this time. And we have a report from Boone County Heritage Museum. Is Troy here?
No, sir. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, he is not here, and I'd like to table this until he arrives, if that's possible.
Okay, we will do that. Okay, next is under new business is bid awards, fuel overlay and WWTP repair. Wade?
Thank you. We opened bids on 3 different contracts earlier this week. The first one was our annual gasoline and diesel contract. Unfortunately, we only received 1 bid. Usually we get anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3. Usually we only get 2, but we did receive a bid from Petroleum Traders. They've had the contract off and on over the last several years. And the way we do this contract, just for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's a rack price plus. So basically what they're bidding is their markup that they will charge us over what the rack price is at the fuel terminal whenever for the day that they do the delivery. That way, they're not having to predict what fuel prices are going to be because nobody can really do that. And so it's a lot better than what we used to do in the past several years ago, where we would just make phone calls and try and get quotes on a tanker load, for the next day and stuff like that. And it allows us to lock in what these markups are through the year. And just to compare it to last year, on the gasoline, the markup that we've got is $24.2417, 24.17 cents, I guess. We were 3 cents higher on our current contract that we're going off of. So that markup's come down a little bit. And then comparing the diesel to our previous one, it's pretty much a wash. It went from 10.21 it was 12.08. And I dropped a couple, so it's 12.08 down to 10.21. So even though we got 1 bid, it's pretty good pricing compared to what we see and what we're used to seeing over the last several years. Be happy to answer any questions if anybody has them.
I mentioned to Wade in reviewing this with him, the fact that it went down at this time is probably something you wouldn't expect with current pricing structure and fuel and things that are going on. The main thing is we get a lower rate. We worked on this several years ago to come up with this format for the pricing. one of the things that you're seeing is we're obviously getting a really good price from petroleum traders. They are very aggressive in regards to commercial fueling, and probably the others didn't feel like they could meet it. I assumed that we would need to make these bids one at a time, no season.
Yes, please.
So at this time, I'd make a motion to approve the bids for the diesel fuel. As presented.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any further discussion?
Yeah, wait, so if they were to, so my understanding, if they were to deliver something on February 27th, the fuel per gallon would be these totals right here.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
How is that different from last year?
So with last year's markup,
So is the markup the,
yeah, the markup is the freight markup, fees and taxes. So that's the actual price they bid.
is that how we did it last year though?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we've done it this way for probably 8, 9, maybe even 10 years. I can't remember.
It's 9 years.
Okay.
The first year you and I got together, we
Yep.
worked through that.
Yes,
Cause I didn't get to stay in here for those bids, you remember?
that's right.
I had to recuse myself each time.
no. Let's wait.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, next bid is, for paving. Right,
Yeah, so we.
milling and overlay, actually.
Right, so we took in bids for our 2026 street overlay program. We did receive 3 bids on that one, which was good. A lot of times we usually only get 2. Capital Paving and Construction out of Ozark, Missouri was the lowest bid at 1.757 million, a little bit over that. APAC Central, who actually had the contract for last year, they were just a little over 50,000 behind. So we had 2 bids really close, which we like to see. Capitals had the contract multiple years in the past. They've always done us a good job. I have no reservations with awarding the contract to them. And I'm glad to see we're getting better competition on these bids. And just this was a pretty aggressive program compared to what we've done in the last few years. As I've kind of had some of our bigger projects bid and be able to see where we're gonna end up on those, some of the money that we've been saved up, now we can turn around and release that. So this will pave a little over 10 miles of city street for this year. And I had actually estimated it just under 2 million, so the bids were pretty good. And I was obviously really concerned about what prices would be after the last couple of weeks of the oil market, because that does impact our asphalt prices, but fortunately they came in good.
So are these you said the same people that did it last year? How many miles did they do last year?
APAC was the one that did it last year. We did a little over 6
Okay.
miles last year.
So has Capital ever done anything for us before?
Yes, they've had the contract multiple times in the past.
Is their timeline and quality of work the same as APAC?
I would say yes, they're definitely comparable.
Okay.
We've had really good, they used to be called German Construction, and there's a lot in this area that have been around for a long time. They do good work.
Are there any further discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye. All opposed, like sign.
Did we actually have a motion?
Yeah, who made that motion?
I don't think there was a motion.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought,
So I'll take, Mr. Mayor, I'll say let's make a motion to approve the bid for milling and overlay.
okay, do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Now, do we have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
The next, item is, headwork screen replacement at the Harrison Water Treatment Plant.
Yeah, so I think I'd updated council a little bit in the past, how we've been having trouble with the screen at the front of the wastewater plant. It's basically the first line of treatment as wastewater comes into the plant. Got plans put together, went out to bid. We actually had 6 different contractors looking at it, holding plans, but only 2 submitted bids. The low bid did come from a local, Ellie Davis Productions out of Harrison. For a base bid of $320,500. JL Bryson out of Springdale, who they're a good contractor too. They were significantly higher at $422,000 as far as the base bid. If you look at this, we did include some deductive alternates just because we were a little bit worried about where the bids would come in. I think at one point I told you guys I'm expecting anywhere between 300 and 500,000, which is a huge range, but just with the volatility in some of the construction market, especially with wastewater equipment, we're a little bit concerned. So we do not want to accept those deductives since we had a pretty good bid come in. We want to go with the base bid, which the first alternate was to omit a dewatering dumpster. Basically, that's a specially constructed dumpster where the solids removed from by the screen get dumped into the dumpster, and then it's got screens to pull water out of the back and return it to the waste stream. And the other was to omit a metal canopy over the equipment because it is outside exposed. It's good to go ahead and get it covered and also help protect my guys from the elements when they're out there having to work on it, because even though it's new, it will still require maintenance. And so since the bids came in good, my recommendation is to award it to Davis at the base bid of $320,500.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Mayor, as presented.
Have a motion approved. I hear a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
A question here. These 3 bids, are they consistent with budget expectations at this time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you have that in the budget at 350 or is it not in there?
It's an infrastructure. It's being paid through on infrastructure. I had actually in the numbers where I'd track all that and try to plan, I had put 500 in.
So the 2 questions I forgot to ask you that I wrote down, one of them was when would the work begin?
Paving contract, Capital has got it penciled in right now for starting in May. So that'll be nice to get that done. The schedule on the headworks is going to depend a little bit on the lead time. It's a 180-day contract. Now, most of that is lead time on the equipment. We figure that we're planning probably 6 to 8 weeks.
And how does that impact the processing of the?
So right now, it's overtime. We're having to put more time into our current screen where they're out there having to clear blockages and fix issues with it. And so plant's still working good. We don't have any issues.
When you start that work, will the capacity of the amount to be processed be reduced, or how will that?
No, so the way we have this set up, the channel as it's built, it's got 2 channels. One has the automatic screen that we'll replace, and the other actually has a manual screen. So we will have more overtime to where guys are out there actually raking the solids up and getting them out of the screen. But that's what we have. We can divert that whenever we need to work on it or do replacement.
Nothing else, Mr. Mayor?
Wait, do you know why the bids were like almost $100,000 difference in the screen replacement? The quality of the screen, I guess itself.
It'll be the same. They're bidding the same screen. We spec'd a specific piece of equipment. It's probably a combination of a local versus a non-local.
$100,000?
Combination of that.
Okay.
And one contractor being a little more hungry than the other. I did call Davis after the bids, made sure that they're comfortable with their price. And they are fine with it. And like I said, our estimate was really around 350 was what we were expecting. So that's in line with it. And Davis has done quite a bit of work for us successfully, including at the treatment plant. They've got a crew that does that work. I'm comfortable with it, just because of my experience with them, and they said they're good. They went back and looked and made sure their numbers were.
I mean, that's a lot.
It is.
So,
It is. We don't like to see somebody leave that much money on the table, but it does happen.
and there's nothing else there's no expectations from Davis or anything like that from the city or anything for.
I would hope not.
Then
Because they won't get
okay.
anything.
Okay, just making sure. Just asking. Just asking.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
And I'm sorry, who made the motion and seconded?
I
Mitch,
think Mitch made the first.
Yeah, I made the motion.
and who seconded?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had two of them. All right, the next three items comes under my committee. And at this time, I'm gonna ask Councilman Magnus, to take over for me in these three resolutions.
Mr. Mayor, the first one is resolution 1348. It is with Jeff Nielsen from the Harrison Chamber of Commerce to speak to this. All that we've done this before in the past, we get offered it, I think, UPS once. And Jeff, you'll go ahead and explain exactly what we have.
Sure, happy to. Councilman, thank you for letting me speak on this today. Basically, what we have here is a resolution for Madmax Fabricating. They've been authorized to state's AEDC. They're authorized to. They were approved for a tax back program in two different areas. It's two different programs that the state has. One's called Advantage Arkansas, the other one's just called Tax Back. Basically what it is they have to agree to spend a certain amount of money, at a minimum level, which makes them qualified for these programs. The state's already approved them for these programs. And so as part of that, the county and the city both have to sign resolutions, basically signing off on it, because they will be getting increments of sales tax back on the equipment and resources and people that they employ for this project. We just had the county approved it on the 10th, and that's just over to the city for your approval. Just so that you know, actually their representative from the company is here, Patrick Ballard. He has a lot more details on exactly all the equipment and what they've been spending, but to date, they've spent over $2.1 million just to improve their facility. Well, they bought a new site, so they're located back in the back of the old Claridge building. They have bought new machinery, which is going to drastically increase their production speed and capabilities. They're online to hire at least, for the detail, another 8 to 10 employees at their facility. They had, according to Max, they had 17 employees that are there now. They're bumping that up by 8 to 10. My understanding is that they've already hired several employees to date. And I did put them in touch with the HR director over at Pace to try and see if they could get some of those employees over too. It's a investment into our town, into our county, and I highly recommend that we approve it.
You know the total amount, and Mr. Ballard might be able to speak to this, if you don't mind, Mr. Ballard.
Pat, you mind?
Yeah, I think everybody can hear me. So far, we.
Well, I apologize, if you'd like to come to the podium, that's all right.
That's fine.
That way you get to be seen on TV.
Oh. No, Max has spent over 2.1 million on new equipment. We're still getting some new equipment in. He's up to 11 employees. We expect that to expand. We're getting new orders in quite frequently. We've opened up new markets. So we fully expect this. I mean, we're occupying 70,000 square feet, I believe, and the building is huge. That's all I know. I'm an accountant, not a manufacturer, but it's a quite impressive facility. And I've had people, a client of mine is a refinery. He builds refineries. He came to meet with Max and with his construction foreman, his engineer and stuff. And they were very impressed. And so they're going to start giving Max work. So there's a lot of folks this is going to grow, I think, quite significantly over the next few years, and add a lot of jobs and growth to Harrison because of it.
Outstanding. Luke, can you speak to how that refund would show up so that everybody has an understanding when they apply for a rebate, what occurs?
So typically with this one, that means they shouldn't have to pay for it. So a lot of times what happens is, remember, we have, really good months they'll apply for a rebate and then we get a negative the following month. I don't believe that case occurs in this case. I believe since it's already on the front end, they've got that taken care of.
And most municipalities in the state love these types of programs because it brings 8 or 10 jobs or 100 jobs or whatever, right?
There will be, I can't speak to how many, but Max and I both think this is going to add a lot more jobs over the next few years.
And I assume Pace Industries was tickled to death when you called.
I have not talked to Pace, I did, okay, I was gonna say.
Well,
But
thank you.
anything else? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution 1348 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1348. Do we have any discussion?
I just,
Oh, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, this is just taking advantage of what the state has already put out for us, and we have done this before, and it
Right.
has served us well, so. Just wanted to put that out there.
So does it come from our funds? Our sales tax, or come from the state?
In that, what they're doing is they're applying to basically for us to waive the sales tax on the machinery for, so they're applying for the local one with us. They've done it with the county as well. So the 1.75% that we charge, they won't have to pay that on that equipment that they purchase.
Moving forward, or is it backdated?
Well, it's, I'm understanding whenever they buy the equipment, have you bought it already? So then there will be a rebate that they'll have to come back with, since they've already bought it. Typically, I think before they buy it, it could come off, but since they've already purchased it, they'll get the rebate and it will be a fallback basically from our sales tax that we've already collected. So when they purchase the equipment, they pay the sales tax, we collect it, then they get a rebate, and then we basically return it back to the state. Okay. Or the state just automatically takes it, that happens. That's okay.
And if everyone in the city started doing this, I mean, do they have the option to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, and how would that affect our funding?
Well, currently it's equipment that's not being purchased, so there's really not gonna be any effect if they're growing. Because we're not anticipating. In our numbers, we don't budget for huge growth in our manufacturing facilities. That's not something that we can budget for or even have an idea of. We're thankful for them and we're appreciative that they're growing. But as far as it having an effect on us, the daily purchases that go on, those big purchases like that aren't really taken into consideration whenever we're doing our budget.
Can you speak to the amount? I don't remember the exact amount, the time that we got hit with the huge rebates where they came back.
I can. So it happened in. I guess we would have received it in February, I believe, of 21, 22. I've got the exact date, but we were expecting that to be our, a large month because that is always the December sales, and it's always a large month because you have Christmas sales. So that's typically a really good month for us, and I think we were anticipating about 120,000 for a quarter cent for that month, and it came back and it was 60,000. And so that was across the board. Each fund had a hit of $60,000 or half of what we were expecting. So that was kind of a shocker. And nobody could ever tell us what project it was for. We never had one large month prior to that. We have our suspicions of who it could be, but again, it's growth in our city. We're appreciative of that. And if we have to take a one-time hit, to continue to increase our job base and more jobs, I'd take that every day of the week.
Call for a vote.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 1348, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Okay, now we move into old business, and again, I'm gonna turn this over to Councilman Magnus for continuing.
Mr. Mayor, resolution 1346, as you stated, is one that we talked about last time. David, can you give us an update on this? I think we just tabled it the last time. Obviously tabled it because we're talking about it again.
Yeah, good evening. Councilmember Hoffman brought to our attention, thankfully, because I'm glad she caught that, the section, I think it's let's see, the fourth paragraph down. We've reworded that, James and myself, we reworded that, and whereas section D of Act 848 2025 requires the city's policy to include prohibitions on certain use of city technology resources, artificial intelligence, and automated decision-making tools for an employee to express personal and political opinions, lobby elected officials or public entities to override or avoid security and system integrity procedures, or engage in illegal activity. And that actually lines up with what the state's recommended. So thank you again. I'm glad we caught that, Maddie. So that's the section we went modified. So. Do you have any other questions about it or concerns?
I move we approve resolution 1326.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1346. Are there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is resolution 1347 that had to do with the tower that's being put on the southern part of town. And we had Wade to go back and ask about the possibility of us using part of the tower if we needed to. So Wade was going to give us an update.
So their response was it depended on if there would be space available, if the height needed, and they would need to know kind of detailed info as to what we would want. I don't really have an immediate need to exactly know what we would need or want to get something pre-written into the lease. Now, I guess that wouldn't change, that wouldn't inhibit us from locating on there in the future. If we have a need, we approach them and then work out a deal, which would probably end up cutting their lease payments. They would find some way to benefit themselves as well. But I don't have enough detail on anything that we might need in the future to really write something into the lease the way that they would want it, because they said they would need more detail and exact info on what they would be agreeing to at this time.
I don't remember this having a term of the lease.
It was 2 years.
Well,
Initial term of 2.
okay.
And renewals, trying to remember the title.
Did I miss it?
It's on the option and lease agreement, section 1C. The initial term of 2 years.
Okay. In the original agreement, okay. So how do you see that? Do we need to do anything with it? I brought it up simply because of the possibility. There's no real need at the current time. You'd be negotiating it anyway.
Right, and so just not knowing what we would need, I would prefer not to try and foretell what we would need and get something in place that would cut our lease payment that we're receiving.
So let's go ahead and make sure that everybody understands why this benefits the city residents, just not the city government. So it increases the cell coverage within our community, right? Especially on that
Correct.
south part of town.
Right.
Wade, is your sense that contingent upon engineering impacts that
They
they're
still,
supportive?
yeah, they'll still have to go through FCC. They're gonna have to come through our planning commission, go through our requirements there. It's just, they're not gonna really do a lot of footwork on that until they at least have the option approved on the lease agreement.
However, your sense is that they would work with us.
Yeah.
So given the sensitivity to things in the air right now, especially if you look to the west, any problems there that you can expect with anybody?
I don't think so. I mean, this will be nothing more than a monopole tower, cell tower that we're used to seeing.
What are those things that you talk about?
Windmills.
Those are
prohibited.
prohibited. So
Right, but I mean, if somebody says, hey, you put a pole and now I can't see the fairgrounds or whatever, you know, or a tower. You say it's a pole, that's probably not gonna be very intrusive, but
I don't foresee this impacting anybody really just from its location and, because it is a little bit tough away.
Over there, yeah, it's not gonna be very.
But it'll give them good height over the 65 corridor coming around the Ford dealership and all that. Cell towers, so several companies have been looking in that area, trying to find the best place to the towers for really a few years. I've heard from them over the years.
Can they dress it up like a tree? I think they do that in Fayetteville.
They do. I'm not sure that's actually better. Just from the one that says,
Some,
it's
but
a.
I,
I mean, we can hang lights from it at that point.
There's one just off of 112 that I lived up where I used to kind of chuckle when we go past it. I'm not sure it was the improvement, but it was a good try.
okay, make a motion that we approve resolution 1347 as presented.
Have a motion to approve resolution number 1347. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Are there any further discussion?
Sorry, one more thing. So if we were to put something on the pole and they decide to take it, I mean, take all their equipment and leave, because that's in their lease, right? They could take all their stuff. I mean, we would then have to
We
supply a
would have
pole.
to either relocate to another location. They may, the tower that we have equipment on right now, just off of Union Road up there on the hill, the same area. We purchased from a cell company that was, abandoning it. And so they gave us, because they were ground leasing on it, because it's our property. And so they gave us the option to purchase that, and then so we've been able to use that for our equipment. So that would be a possibility. If they decided to abandon that, then we should typically offer it to sell to somebody, including us, that way they don't have to do it removal.
Okay.
Wade, is our experience with Tillman generally positive over time?
I don't have any real direct experience with Tillman. They've been pretty easy to work with on this, but we don't have any direct, since I've been here with Tillman.
Thank you.
thanks for going to them. I'm just glad to hear that, you know, they're open and just flat out saying that. So it's a direction.
Do we have any further discussion? All in approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, our first item on the agenda, Mr. Massey has graciously appeared before us, and we'd like to ask him to come forward with his presentation.
Jay Troy?
Mr. Massey is here on behalf of the Boone County Heritage Museum.
Good Magnus. I asked Chuck to call me before the meeting, he didn't, so that's why I'm a little bit.
Hey, it's not the first call.
Yeah.
Well, good. So it was full and everybody's left, right? Yeah, I didn't get to visit beforehand with most of y'all. I think in the past, I kind of generically told you about the museum or whatever, and I thought this time in 3 minutes or less, I'd be a little more detailed. Because in talking to some of y'all, maybe you hadn't been in the museum lately, or, you know, it's been a while or whatever. Some even went to school there. So just kind of want to give you an update of where we're at. So I'm the last of the Mohicans. 1988, I came on board and I was in my 20s, and I always joke that anything on the second and third floor of that building that was heavy, I was the one who did it. If I couldn't do it, I'd get Coach Tice to get some of his linemen to come over and help me. But anyway, those original folks are all gone, and they had gone to school in that building. So that's why it meant so much to them. That's why we had so many volunteers back in those days. So this past year, we've had 408 visitors who signed the register book, but that's deceptive because a lot of people don't sign the books. I mean, you can ask them to, but you know, that's up to them. We've had, you know, card groups come through. We've had historical groups that have come through. We have the chamber comes by and they enhance their membership. Schools book us on tours. You know, we're really encouraging the county schools to, you know, be more involved. The pandemic kind of knocked us in the head there and we're trying to recover. But hopefully all the schools in the county will make arrangements to come up so that we can give them a tour. We've got 3 floors there. 2025, we received $2,800 in memberships, $11,000 in donations. We had $938 in the sale of books and merchandise, and y'all have graciously given us $4,000 in the past. Boone County had given us $4,000 in the past, but this year it was reduced to $2,000 from the county. This is the kicker here. Our utilities are $13,500. Insurance, $7,300, security systems, $900, and our water bill, I have to check with the city water person because sometimes it fluctuates greatly because they've got a new meter on there, but this last month was like $200, and anyway, so we're working on that one. So this museum is 1912 model. So it's on the National Register of Historic Places. This was the original Harrison High School. And many people come through those halls and all those floors. And usually whenever they walk in there, they're always pointing to, right there's where Mr. Hudson grabbed me and took me to his office and did whatever. Or just, you know, second floor, that certain teacher, whatever. It's really neat to hear their stories. But we became innovative 3 years ago when we started sponsorships. So we have the Equity Bank Room, the Railroad Room, which is sponsored by the Greenville and Western Railway Company. So this individual, the Hawkins family, sponsors that. It's $2,500 a year for 4 years, guaranteed, no contracts. It's a handshake, and you know, at the end of 4 years, hopefully they'll renew. But I mean, these people are from South Carolina, but that museum for that particular room means that much to them. So that's the first floor. The Explorer Harrison room's on the second floor, and again, through the years, they have given us about $10,000, and we've really got that room looking good. And like I always say, that I think that museum looks better than any time I've ever been involved in it. We have the medical room on the second floor, and that's sponsored by the North Arkansas Regional Medical Center. It has many artifacts from Dr. Kirby, Dr. Gladden, Dr. Fowler, Dr. Keener, and some of the items that they use to take care of their patients. We also have another room that's the county school room, which has sports leather jackets, cheerleader uniforms, yearbooks, and an array of many other items. And I kind of jokingly, I made the mistake of saying that to Martha Wilson, who's from Valley Springs, and she says, that is the county's, that is not just Harrison. So, but anyway, I said, okay. It's the whole county, and it really is, but I just kind of see some of the Harrison jackets real prominent right up front. I said, get some Valley Springs and stick in there, and we'll talk about that. Third floor, we have the Civic Room. It's sponsored by Kiwanis, Lions, and Rotary Clubs. We got their memorabilia in there. We also have Garden Club in there, Masonic Lodge, Scottish New York Rite, and Shrine. The next room is the Industrial Room, which has many displays from our past and present industries in Harrison. And we also, on the third floor, have the All War Room, which has displays and books and articles from all the wars of our American past. And the SAR, Sons of American Revolution, and Daughters of American Revolution, have items on display. So that's the big building. That's your Harrison High School building. But we also have the building to the west, which is there on Central, and it's called the Forest Building because Mr. Forrest had donated money to us to do what we wanted to do, and so we purchased that from the Harrison Public Schools. So this building has our library and archives, and Martha Wilson is in charge of that. And prominent in that room is our Mountain Meadows Massacre display. It has an 1857 era wagon in there, got 4 oxen, and it was always funny every time I see those 4 oxen. I've been down there this afternoon working, and I was in that room quite a bit today, but when I see those 4 oxen, Judge Logan wanted 6 oxen. And when we measured them out, I said, Judge, we can't get 6 oxen in there. And I mean, it was kind of a contention between us every time we'd have a meeting. We met like every week. And I said, Judge, we can't get 6. We got to get 6 in there. So one time I told him, I said, at the end of one meeting, I said, okay, Judge, we'll do the 4 large upright ones like we got now. And I'm going to get 2 little bitty oxen we'll put in front. He laughed, but he didn't like it. So that tells the story of the Mountain Meadows. We've got 3 volunteers for the museum. One of them is hitting 70 and the other 2 are over 70. And then there's Martha and me. So we got 5 people that's basically maintaining that museum. Our winter hours are 10 a.m. to 4, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays, which is October through March. Summer hours open 2 days a week, which is Thursday and Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. But we're open the first Saturday of each month, same hours. So basically we're open year round. So we have a board of directors consisting of 15 members. We just got Mickey Summers on board from the college. We got Jacob and Tess Little and also Shane Grinder. So we've got 4 new ones. And what we're trying to do is get some young folks in there. And don't ask me what the magic number is for young folks, but basically anybody under 50 probably is young folks. So I'm very excited. We got that many people that are interested, and they have not gone to school there in that museum. So we meet quarterly, but my board is dedicated to the preservation of the history of Boone County. And most of these people are Boone County natives, but again, they're young and they enjoy history, but we need to get them a little bit more on board. They've heard their parents talk about all this stuff, but at least they're volunteering to be on our board. That's a big deal. Okay, so we've had an executive director in the past. We don't have one now. Basically, it's run by committee, which is Martha and I, and there's other things that we could be doing. We used to have the monthly Monday night at the museum and just other activities, but without executive director, we have to do what we got to do. So we just appreciate y'all's help, continued help on this. We're doing the best we can, and I feel positive. I mean, we've had people come in there and they say they visit a lot of small town museums, and it is, tops up there. And then I'm thinking all the, progress that we have coming through here, and, what are they looking for whenever they come into a town? Well, there's also the cultural end of it, not just the economic, but, they're saying what can we do for the kids? What can we do? You got theater, you got, sports and all this stuff, but a museum is pretty vital. So anyway, we continue to ask you for support. So, thank you very much.
Well, boy, that's a lot longer than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I know I can talk a lot longer.
Yeah, no, you can. So here's the thing. Donna Brammer and Troy and I served on the Harrison 150-year celebration. It's very difficult to spend taxpayer money at times. And even the very first time that Troy came here, I kind of pushed him back a little bit. I don't think it would behoove us to turn them down at the museum in the year in which we're celebrating our history as much as we're going to be celebrating it. In addition, if you haven't been down there, I hope that we get volunteers down there. One of the things we hope to do with this Harrison 150 celebration is to draw attention to the museum and the incredible diverse amount of things that Troy and his team have down there. And if you go in there, I've been there 2 or 3 times in my life, and when I go in there, I end up staying far too long because it's, oh, I remember this, or I heard about this. So I would ask the council to consider supporting again with a motion, and that also that we use this opportunity to speak to the history that we have in Boone County, and the seal above us says City of Harrison, Boone County, Arkansas. I tell everybody all the time it's one and the same. So in any event, I don't know if anybody would be interested in making a motion for the
This has already been addressed by council, if the CFO could address. The 2026 expenditure for the museum already been addressed by council. I think I recall it's present in the budget and already authorized.
It is, so where it was reported last year, there's money in the budget for this, yes, sorry, I was trying to eloquently say that. Yes, there is an amount in the line item that was taken out of last year that is in the budget.
Okay. I didn't think we'd made it a budget item and I missed that in the budget review. So Troy, you got some money. The next thing everybody here and all of us need to do is go to the Boone County Heritage Museum and help us celebrate 150 years since our founding. Thank you.
Troy, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Is the museum, is it full? Like, is there any empty space?
You talking about for sponsorship or for cycle times?
Just to add, to add things, I guess. One thing we don't have is like a science museum. I don't know if is it even possible, but you're talking about
I'll say,
younger generation.
all the rooms are full. We got,
Okay.
right, whenever you said that, I was thinking, we got a storage room there, but
Yeah,
there's a reason why it's a storage room.
Right.
Yeah,
Someone just asked me recently what we could do to get a science museum here.
a
So,
science room.
um,
We have the
Just
forest
thought.
building
yeah,
and, there's possibilities there, but it's an attached building. And with our staff, if you want to go to the forest building, you have to make prior arrangements because if there's not more than 2 people there in the main building, then you gotta go over there and open it up. So it's a process. But, so you're serious, someone is serious about some science items?
oh, yeah. Or a science museum, space, something of that nature.
We would just have to talk because the thing is, everything in that building is Boone County related. And so is science related to what you're talking about for Boone County or you just talking about?
Just in general.
It's separate.
If it's just broad, science, I'd probably be hesitant because each room in there is, prominent Boone County. Our all wars room, that's stuff, the uniforms and things are Boone County people. Industrial room, medical room, civic room. So we can talk about it later, but I'd say
Just a thought. That's fine. Yeah.
I had to commit because I there.
No, I wasn't asking you to commit. It was just a question. I was just wondering. So
We've got-
just throwing it out there.
You built a science building.
Okay, yeah, that'd be nice.
Anyway, and what's scary, folks, is that museum is being run by a graduate of Marshall High School in Valley Springs. So, let's get some Harrison people involved in this. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you,
that's all.
Troy. All right, Mr. White, do we have any citizen comments?
No one signed up. No, sir.
No one signed up. Council comment.
I have a question, if I could. Given that, ordinance 1542 failed, my understanding is that funding for the police and fire department expires at the end of this year. Is that correct?
So the quarter cent that's in question, it actually is not just for police and fire. It is split out among several different departments, but police and fire are the biggest. So yes, they would take the largest hit for that.
Will that require police and firemen to be laid off at the end of this year?
If the funding continues the way it is, I've asked these department heads to take a look at each department. And unfortunately, we will have to make some cuts. That's losing quite a bit of money. And the way that's broken down, yes, about 62% of that goes directly to police and fire, directly out of the general fund. So
Do you have a sense of the number of people we'll lose?
I've asked them to kind of come up with an idea of what that would look like to cut out of each department. I don't feel like I should make that call specifically, but I have asked them to take a look at it. And hopefully we can come back to you with a plan, maybe in a couple of weeks of what that would look like.
What options may be before us to act upon as city government to avoid that to prevent that from happening?
To prevent us from
Being required to reduce personnel in the departments impacted.
Sure. Well, the way it sits now, there really is not a way to do that. So the only way to go forward would be additional funding.
So, Mr. Petty, if I may, just a moment. So I think, you know, when this body decided to vote to put these up on there was no choice because we knew we were losing that funding if we didn't put them up, both resolutions up. I think we, as a community, and I'm not blaming the council or the city administration or people that were in support of it, but we as a community didn't properly communicate to the voters. I've heard from more voters since that time that misunderstood what was there. Now, I say this all the time, voters are never wrong. Whenever they vote, they're correct in the vote they make. Now, they can be misinformed, and sometimes when we do these things, maybe we didn't give them the information.
What can we do to fix it between now and then?
If we need additional funding, we would have to come up with another ordinance for another vote in November. And we would have to approve that, I believe, in July or August, we'd have to start this.
Is it appropriate to set that planning process in motion now?
I think what we need to do is we need to plan that direction, but this is an opportunity for the department heads to look at their finances and see if there's anything in there. I'm gonna be real honest with you, as the finance chair looking at this, it was kind of devastating that night in thinking to myself, and I turned to Chief Grady and Wade at the time that we're down there, and I said, we always said it would be devastating. This is devastating. And when you hear things on social media like, we should take money from Creekside. Well, you can't. That money in fund accounting, it has to go wherever it's stationed, dedicated to. So Wade has put in the current infrastructure bill that we're going to take 30% of that and spend it on roads. Well, you can't spend it on salaries in the fire department then. So the only way to do that is to have another tax measure in the ordinance that we would have to place on the November ballot. We still have time to decide whether or not to do that. Ultimately, most of this tax fund goes to salaries, the majority of it. So I don't know how they could cut that enough. And I'm just going to tell you, we talked about that night real quickly, how many positions. I've got a number, but Luke is correct. We probably need to sit back and look at this. And for the benefit of the public that had to vote and voted on this, now I'm going to say this, the vast majority of people that have contacted me said, you guys did a bad job telling us what to vote for.
What's happened has happened. Now we got to look forward and
Right.
show our support and our commitment to both our citizens and to police and fire.
Well, they think that we're talking about, you say you're trying to scare us, you're going to cut police, you're going to cut firemen. That's what happens.
Well,
This is salaries.
that's what happens. Yeah, right now, that's all we can see.
Right.
We don't know what the department heads have come up with.
Well, and
At this point where it is essentially being used as a scare tactic because we don't really know for sure how many and where that
I can tell you right
is
now,
going.
$1 million of that money, is dedicated to go to police and fire
Right now,
right now.
right.
You can't cut enough things in police and fire to not make it go to personnel.
so, and some of the things that occur when this occurs, we've had very large expenditures, fire station number 2, a new fire truck. We're leasing, police cars. So, to say that most of the expense in the future, you would say, well, maybe you can save enough. Well, it took a long time to get the reserves and get money to purchase those items. So you're going to purchase fewer fire trucks, correct? It'll be a longer term between,
Yes.
regardless. And obviously, again, I think that they need to look at these budgets. My personal opinion, once again, is some of the public has already come and said, come to members of this council or to the city administration and say, hey, you need to put this back on the ballot. I think they need to review it first. I think again, this is just me being as a finance chair and looking at it. I don't think that Luke can come up with enough money to save that. Infrastructure now is funded. And it's funded without the sunset. Some people said that it should have been the sunset. That we shouldn't have had taken off the sunset. It is the primary funding mechanism, those two taxes for our municipality. And it's the ones that have sunsets on it. Didn't make sense.
And they've both been in force since 2002.
Right, and the city is so much different than it is. What happens too, of course, the public lost a little bit of confidence when the news came out about Judge Hathaway, Pace closing, and the war in Iran started. The early votes, both of those measures were ahead. On election day, they began to fall, and more voted against it. It's just that infrastructure had enough to believe that it was able to do that. So there's a lack of confidence in the community in their government. They shouldn't have that here because Harrison's had really good stewardship. We've not had a problem with any of our financials. I know in at least 10 years because I've seen them. But also you have to remember the individual that was caught, those individuals that were caught, they were caught because the system worked. You're never going to get away with it, and they didn't get away with it. Something always happens. I understand the public's concern, but truly when I say this, you don't want to vote against your own best interest, self-interest, and we just have to look at it now and make sure this is a good time to review and see. But I can promise you that probably they're going to have to come back and ask us to, and I've already had people say, I want you to pass it next council. Pass another ordinance. I don't think that's appropriate right now.
No.
I think the
So
public is tough.
What are your people saying that they were misinformed on? Like
They said-
what did they say they didn't know about?
They saw the word general tax and they said, we don't know where it's going. They said there was no idea in there that it went to salaries. There's no idea that you're going to have to cut 1 or 2 SROs from the school system. None of that was tied up in any of that discussion. There was no discussion that the ISO rating for the city of Harrison would go up or get worse. And then our property casualty insurance in town would go up.
Well, we don't know that either.
Your ISO rating, if you will go up.
Okay.
It will get
Well,
worse.
to this point, no one's been able to tell me that for sure. So no one's been able to tell me why they need the people they need and why we need the funding that is there. All I've been told is that we need it because the funding's there. There hasn't been any numbers other than Mr. David over there justifying why we need what we need.
Well,
And I'm being very open and honest.
right. This is the discussion we need to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so that the public sees that there's something here.
So none of the department heads have come to me, Wade and David. Wade's completely different because he's infrastructure, but no one has said why they need the money they need.
I immediately that night, again, with what knowledge I had, I turned to Chief Grady and I said, well, I'm looking at you losing X number of positions. And I said, but the school system and the city of Harrison go in 50-50 for the most part on the SRO. It's not, some of them are paid for 100% by the school district, but not all of them.
This rate has not increased in 26 years, well, 24 years. But the city has grown, the population has grown. You're implying that the cost per capita is declining. Well, let's at least hold it steady.
I believe not, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the newspaper article that the chiefs wrote, the mayor wrote, all that information was in the articles, in the interviews that they did at the radio stations. All that information was given to the public that what it would affect for each department. Each department head gave the information. This will affect us and this is how it will affect us.
It's going to affect them, but they've not been able to provide why they need the people they need. There's not a justification as to why we need the amount of police that we
The
need.
budget that we have.
Why, yeah.
Well,
I mean, everyone that I've talked to has been informed. I mean, there hasn't been anyone that has said that.
well, for example, I'll just give you the straight up example. I said, you're gonna lose 2 SROs. No one, no
But
one
the
knew
school
that.
pays for that
No, they pay half of it.
on some.
Yeah, they pay, generally, it's about 50%.
But we're saying automatically we're gonna lose people when we don't even know for sure.
What we know is this, when Chief Grady and I were talking.
I'm not saying that I'm against it.
No,
I'm
no, no.
just saying that like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. In my
Listen,
opinion,
Josh.
to justify why we need.
So we've got
what we
6
need.
months. Let's get started.
Okay.
Like to see take place. If they want it back on the ballot,
If we want it back on the ballot.
if our city wants it back on the ballot.
Yep. We decide that. This council decides. it.
So we're gonna have a town hall meeting. We're gonna have to go through the definitions of what a city is, what our government is. We're gonna have to definition of what these taxes are, why. I mean, we've got a lot of boxes we've got to check. I want to give more information and that's absolutely necessary. So I just suggest that as we start going through, which is a wonderful idea anyway, anytime that you can question or reevaluate what we're doing, how we're doing it is always a positive manner. As you do that, I just ask that while we're digging in there, let's answer the why.
Listen,
You know,
not only do I agree with that, I was the first one to say we don't need to do anything now because we do, this is the time to move
right,
anything.
exactly.
But I will, once again, I'll say this, the public, just like it's not a scare tactic if we say this is the result. The ISO rating, let's just say that we lose 4 firemen, okay? The ISO rating, how do they do that? You know how it's assessed?
It is, I'll let Mark speak to that a little bit, or
Chief?
I can tell you, but I'm
No.
not as eloquent as what he would say, so. So when ISO in regards to manpower, they look at staff positions, full-time staff positions. They also look at the responses to the structure fires from those staff positions as well as off-duty personnel. So as we look at those cuts, obviously that's gonna put less people on the ground for those fires. And points per personnel, while there's, you can't tell exactly how many is good or bad, they're gonna look at your fire and grade you accordingly. There's no number that I could say this
So
is.
then when does the assessment occur?
So they do it every 5 years, or if it's requested.
Yeah. So if, when you say when it's requested, would the city request it?
Anybody can request it.
So if somebody requests it.
Yeah, anybody can call ISO and say, we would like that department graded because of this.
So let's take this a little bit further, and I'm glad we're having this discussion, by the way. Really glad we're having this discussion. Let's assume that you have fewer EMTs to go, and you've got all your firemen are now EMTs, correct?
That's correct.
So let's say you don't have coverage. Right now, you run a wreck at Marshall, we go down there. City of Harrison will go to Marshall, anywhere to run a wreck if they can get there and
If it was
provide.
present, yes.
So if we have fewer people on staff, are we going, and this is not to put you in that position, but let's assume that you only have enough staffing, that it's only staff enough that you can only staff it and not take that. So if a rescue was in Omaha, a wreck in Omaha, and you didn't have staffing at the time, your other ones could cover it, right? Your other firemen, because they're all EMTs.
Right now, yes. Yeah, I mean, right now, the way we do it is the duty crews take off to go to that call and the off-duty guys come in and help cover the city while they're going to that call.
Would this have an impact on the costs that people in the county incur also as a result of reduced staffing?
I don't know that it would be a dollar cost,
Impact their insurance rates for fire?
not in the county, no.
So only in
Our ISO is strictly city limits.
As many service calls as you guys do to assist communities in our county, I mean, that's just being a good neighbor. And I understand that that may not be our ultimate goal, but those are people that we assist. And that's part of our job, or part of your job of what you do extremely well. And I think that's a benefit to everyone. Just because the accident happened in Omaha doesn't mean it's not a Harrison resident.
That's right, yeah. And again, or a family member of.
Or
But again, with.
that's correct.
With cuts, we would have to then prioritize what we do. And-
ISO rates, my understanding is a factor is the degree of response and support that is available in that area. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean,
So this would not impact the ISO rates that the county sees
it would not.
because there's less resources available to
They
help
have
them
their
fight
own,
their fires.
each department has their own rating, so,
Okay.
Kirby Creek, for example, their district has their own rating for theirs. Now where we do have a slight advantage is when we have what we call auto aid, agreements with departments, which we have, we get to count those numbers when they come in, if they come in, but that's pretty rare.
My concern is this is not just solely a city of Harrison challenge. There are people that are neighbors that this would impact
Well,
also.
and again, I'm not an advocate for taxes. If this tax goes away, will be the lowest in Arkansas for a town between 5,000 and actually 24,000, right?
Yes.
We say 20,000, but it's 24,000. We will have the lowest tax rate. And I hear all the time, your taxes are the highest anyway. And if you go to Branson, they're not. I don't advocate for taxes, but I do advocate for, I do want, I'm just gonna be real honest and candid here. I don't want to lose one SRO, not one.
Right, neither do I. I'm not saying that.
No.
Right,
And
okay, well, I don't wanna
lose.
lose anyone. Go ahead.
Right, well, and when I say that, for me, I see the budget on both sides, the school and the city, and I know that the school can't pick it up.
Right, but if we are staffed because funding is there, but the need is not there, then that's a problem.
Right.
we are-
I think I
if
can
we are-
answer that pretty quick on our side of things is ours was ISO driven, so therefore we funded as much as we can with the budget we have. If we had more budget, we would staff more people and get our ISO better, so. That's just for ISO purposes.
So do you have guidelines, where you can be to get an ISO? We're at 2 right now?
Yeah,
Okay, so do you have what we can do to maintain the 2? Staffing, location?
maintaining our staffing would keep us at a 2.
Okay, so where is that in writing? Like, where's the document telling us?
It's not,
where
it's not really where it's not a clear defined that says if you have this many people, you get this score.
Okay, well then why are we tying it to staffing?
Because it is a big score of the ISO.
Yeah.
It's a very confusing formula that they put together based on a lot of things, equipment, well, the trucks that we have, the backup engine we have, county gives us points. Our inspections and all that gives us points. What's that?
Just all.
Our
Yeah.
preparation
Yes, it's basically based on preparation and
goes in.
response when that happens. For example, they said we gotta have a number of engines on scene at a certain amount of time. Then then they look at your overall response of those incidents. And that's where the numbers of people come in, because again, it's based on averages of those calls. You always want to shoot for 20 plus, 16 plus for your responses. So that's where it comes into tapping. Again, there's nothing that they give us a book and say, if you have this many, you get this many points. It's very confusing to go through an ISO rating for sure.
And it's every 5 years, you said, let's assume.
Or upon request.
Yeah, upon request. So again, for me, one of those issues, when I was concerned about the ISO rating for property and casualty, and even people that rent. So if you're renting a house from somebody and they get an increase in their insurance to cover that home, they're not gonna eat it, they're gonna pass it on. So would it be $30 a month? Maybe. I don't know how much it would be. You would assume that number is gonna be significant. My property and casualty insurance for my house has gone through the roof. It's more than double.
Absolutely.
I assume with an ISO rating, it's gonna go up at least 20 or 30%. I don't know. And
We don't know. Why are we throwing numbers out?
well, we don't. No, hold it.
I can tell you, I talked to an insurance gentleman, I just asked, I said, what happens if we go from a 2 to a 3? That would be the most likely scenario if we went down. I said, would it affect on a $200,000 house would have affected $500. He said anywhere from 500 to 1,000. A year.
Okay.
So I've reached out to a couple others just to find out if I've heard back.
So for me, that would be a 40% increase.
And you know, I would actually challenge you all to check your own, you know, and just see what it would affect you individually. Your individuals kind of get an idea, because with every insurance carrier, the ISO is dependent or non-dependent for that specific carrier. You know,
Who holds the ball to get this process started to bring it to resolution?
We do as a vote.
But I mean, Chief was still talking too.
I appreciate that, and that's okay, and that's.
We just all the time speeding things up. I mean, that's why our public is,
No,
sorry,
no.
I interrupted you too, but like.
Yeah,
Just,
I 100% think we ought to sit back and look at this. This is a time of reflection and review to see, maybe we do need to do X or Y. I agree with that. I'm very concerned. I do like the number of police officers we have in town. I do like the fact that we have a drug task force, because there's just no way of saying this other than to say it. It's not trying to scare the public.
okay, again, I'm not against any of
Right,
that,
I know
I
you-
promise.
I
I
know.
voted for it. I don't know if I can say that or not, but I did. I promise.
You can say
I
that.
took a picture of it in case anybody wants to see it. I am, but I just want to be able to
Right.
tell me why you need it.
And I think, that's where maybe us as a group have not done as good a job, like Mitch had said.
Chief, sorry, he still wasn't done talking. I apologize as well. Okay.
Unless you have any more questions. We live it every day. So
Yeah.
we know, or we think we know, that we need this many people. You know, we need a coverage for police to be on the north, the south, and in the middle, at least one car all the time, 24 hours a day. We know that we need at least 2 people at each fire station to be able to go out on those calls to have a response time that's quick enough to help our ISO rating. Now, can you cut back to not having 3 police officers on duty at all times and have 2?
Yes.
I guess
The answer to
you
that-
could. Does it affect what's going on in the city as far as crime? My educated guess would say yes. I can't put a number to that to say, yeah, burglaries are gonna go down 20% because we have an extra person. I don't know. I don't know the chief can tell you that. That would be a tough estimate to say, yes, since we have an extra person, it's gonna go down. Now, am I happy with our level of coverage for the police department and the fire department? Do I think we're staffing it appropriately? In my opinion, yes. Maybe that's not everybody's opinion, again, because I live it every day. And I see what we're doing, because crime rate's been going down since we've had those officers there. Our ISO rating went from a 3 to a 2 because we added employees. When did that ISO rating go to a 2? In 19, after the public safety tax was passed. That's when it dropped, because we were able to have additional people there. We were able to have newer vehicles there, newer engines. So all of that contributed to us going from a 3 to a 2. So we knew what it was back with the 3. And yes, adding more people and better equipment got it to a 2. And again, maybe we didn't say that with, we didn't come out and tell you that story well enough. That could be on us, and I would 100% admit, because I live it every day and I don't.
Yeah, but I think
I know it.
Yeah, I think we also didn't talk to everybody.
Sure.
I don't get on social media. People said they saw Donna and I when we spoke in regard to advocating for the tax. I didn't see it, because I don't use that as a format. I don't get the newspaper anymore. I didn't see it there. So I think there's a lot of times and Chief Grady mentioned this. He said, we went up to all the civic organizations. You're speaking to the choir. Probably 90% of those people voted for it. So you're talking to people that don't have that information. What I was told is people said, why didn't you tell me what it was? It said general tax. Who votes for a general tax? That's what was general fund tax. That's what it was. If it had said police and fire, it would have made a difference. So not to belabor those points, but I do believe, that for us as a city council to still be good stewards of the money, we need to go through and make sure of all of this.
And I also wanted to point out that, I've heard, from some people that just said, you just want it for administration. Well, they don't realize that, 6% goes to buildings and grounds to keep our parks mowed or our buildings upkept. We have 2% goes to just that's for safety of our officers, for safety of our community, whether it be street light updates, all that stuff, and then maintenance of our vehicles. It goes to maintenance, we have someone there that's making sure our fleet is up to date, the oil's changed, all that stuff. It's not all just about administration, and that's one of the things I've heard. There's a lot more that goes into the general fund rather than just administration. I bring up police and fire because it's the biggest portion. That's again over 62 to 64%, depending on the year. That's where the majority of that has to go by law, because when we pass the other public safety tax, it has to go there. And we're glad it does, because that's what helps us maintain where we're at today. Now, should we be at that level? Again, that's up for maybe discussion and debate, depending on everybody's thought.
So this time around, can you say percentage wise what goes where?
And we can tie it to a percentage.
But that's very difficult if you tie it to a percentage, because 20 years from now, those guys are gonna be going, what were those guys thinking?
Well, the public safety tax, get this, is based on budgeted revenues.
It is.
The other one.
Well, the general fund is based off of budgeted, the general fund portion that goes to police and fire is based on budgeted revenues, based off the 2014 budget for police and fire.
If everybody would actually go through the taxes at the city, Luke and I used to have a seminar each year on this, so we'd tell people what was going on. But I guess we had it like 3 or 4 times. But everybody goes, well, that doesn't sound right, because it doesn't make sense. And I even had somebody tell me that you guys should get rid of every city tax and just come back and have one. Creekside for police, fire, and everything. And I said, well, and they said, what do you think of that? And I said, I think you should run for council and give us some good ideas. So all of these things being said, are we good stewards of the money? You damn right we are.
Well,
We are good stewards.
we are good stewards.
Now, the other part of that is, do you get that? The reason that is, do you get good value? People have complained about this new building. If you would have seen our police and fire in the old building, and Chief Cagle, you're over there laughing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, you're laughing. It was beyond, it wasn't functional. It was an embarrassment. This building today, we built it for just short of 9 million, about 8.8, somewhere in there. This building today would cost you $15 million to build, and we got it at a tax rate that we'll end up paying this off early, right? Correct. That's value for the taxpayers' money. And if you get value for your taxpayers' money, that's what you want to do. I had somebody very intelligent one time tell me, you need to collect tax money and spend it in the year in which you obtain it for the benefit of the people that paid the tax.
I might add, to your first point there, we got a Freedom of Information Act request 2 days ago, James, I believe, requesting all kinds of financial information. And we got on it as soon as we could, because we would love for people to come and look at our financial information.
You betcha.
Please come look at everything. If you want to look at anything, I'll be happy to show you, because we don't have anything to hide. Anybody wants to come look at anything, we'll show you down to the penny where everything gets spent. And I can promise you there's nothing going on there. So.
And I don't think that we're saying that anything is going on.
I just want to reiterate that.
Right. Want us to be able, if we're gonna tell people and their families that they're gonna be affected, we need to justify why we're telling them that. And it doesn't need to be said until we know for sure.
Sure.
I mean, there's already people posting stuff on Facebook about it, about their been with the police for 13 or 18 years. And
part of that is the discussion that I asked this group behind me, and I feel like that's just good fiscal ideology,
right,
to say, hey, think about what this is gonna happen and, you know, how will this affect your department? I would like to have an idea of how this will affect your department. You know, I think have went back and probably talked to a lot of their employees to say, you know, this is what we're.
And I feel like looking at personnel is probably the easiest and quickest way to save money. And that is probably I mean, in my opinion, if we need it, then figure out what we need to do to keep it. What else can we do?
Sure. And it's hard when your personnel is 80% of the budget.
Have we got it that high because of we need it? Or is it just because again?
I'm sorry, it's in
No, you're fine.
I'll go back to the fact that our coverage for the police and fire departments are there partly because of the public safety tax. Then it was passed. They wanted more coverage. They wanted newer equipment. They wanted our police and fire employees to be paid a decent wage, because let's all be honest, they were not paid as well as most departments in cities around Arkansas. Now, that's allowed us to retain some of those, but again, back to the numbers issue, that public safety tax was passed to try to bring that ISO up. I mean, that was part of it, but it was, you know, that went from the 3 to the 2. So if we want to go back to the 3, you have to take into consideration what caused it to go from a 3 to a 2 in the first place. And again, that's personnel, that's equipment. Now, as far as police goes, again, if you're happy with the coverage the way it is, because we're covering a large, how many square miles are we covering? Well, square miles.
What is the data show, like how many are we supposed to have per square mile? Like, I mean, go throwing out square miles,
well, I'm just saying, we're covering a large distance, I'll say that.
Okay.
We're covering a large distance with 3 people. As much as we can, 24 hours a day. Now, there's times.
And now in counties, we've got a cooperative with the county.
Sure.
So if they have to have backup at Valley Springs or Omaha or Alpena.
And we've got a drug task force to try to keep drugs out of our community. Is
it our responsibility to make sure that the other cities are taken care of?
It is our responsibility to make sure that.
I mean, does Valley Springs have a city tax?
They do not, and the county, the cooperative is in exchange, it's a cooperative. So we have multiplied the size of our police force. Now a county officer comes into Harrison to back up Harrison just as much. So what we've done, as I told people, it's an exponential growth. It's that synergy where before you had whatever 27 plus 19 county officers. Now you've got really the effect of 60 because you get more than that number because there's always somebody on duty.
Man,
There's always somebody there. So the county, one of the things people will say, hey, I don't get to vote because I live in the county. That's right. But the Harrison Fire Department was at your neighbor's house the other day when it caught on fire. And right before you get to Bergman, there was a house on fire on the left. The first fire truck there was the Harrison Fire Department.
I mean, I would think that would be a problem for Bergman. They would probably need to reevaluate and see why they're not the first one.
May I be allowed to have a word here?
Sure.
Thank
Sorry.
you. My mind says this is a bigger issue than how far and why do we tighten our belt a notch or two. If we reduce fire and police effectiveness, people will die because we couldn't respond in a way that would have otherwise saved their lives. We need to see the big picture here and not be concerned with where the comma falls in the distribution of budgets. It's important, but you're slowing the process. So let's find a way for you to get your answers that you require so that we can move this forward.
I'm slowing the process.
Well, we've been here for 2 hours.
I think we're having discussion.
Okay.
I know
That's not what we're supposed to do.
Lives in the discussion somewhere and not, well, I'm not sure that, how many
It's,
per square mile will impact an ISO.
Can we give the chiefs 2 weeks to come up with
Yeah, and that's.
Yes,
information to bring us a observation? And if council has questions in the next couple of days, get with the chiefs and say, hey, this is what I want you to bring me. Now, I would think the ISO would affect, in my mind, businesses coming to town, police coverage, fire coverage. If I'm bringing a business to town and we don't have police and fire coverage, I don't want to bring a business. So, I mean, it's going to affect development. It's going to affect economics. It's going to affect housing. So let the chiefs take the time. And if council members have questions, let us get with the chiefs and give them a couple weeks. And you, of course, I mean,
let's get the questions we want answered on
Yeah.
paper and give it to them.
That was.
absolutely. Yeah.
That was kind of our discussion, was that that's why we don't have certain numbers to just lay out there tonight. I just asked them to kind of come up with some ideas.
Let's just give you guys time to do your job.
So I will say, I think that I've asked for it, haven't I? Luke,
Which one?
I've asked for the questions that I'm asking tonight. I've asked for that already.
The why do we?
The why we need it.
So many people?
Yeah, why we need the people we need from all of them, from all of you. So I'm delaying it, I guess,
no,
because
first of
I've
all,
not been answered.
I think that, you know, if you talk to Chief Grady, he said, I put the number of people on the street. He said, I need 100 officers
But why?
because he wants no crime in Harrison, Arkansas.
Okay, well,
Now, when he told me this multiple times, even before that discussion, he said, the more money you give me, the more money I put on the street to get rid of drugs or whatever. He said, the fewer people, we reverse that. He said, I have fewer people on the street, and he thinks it affects crime. I don't know. But I do believe, again, I agree. It's good that we're having the discussion and everybody here is right. We need to have good, strong, information to make a decision of whether or not we present this back to the public. And I've even had people tell me, well, it's not up to you all. Well, it is. The 8 of us deciding.
One measure of what might be an appropriate bar is what other cities with similar characteristics of us are using. And I think we know that.
no, apparently we don't. David knows. He knows for a fact, but I don't know that anyone else knows.
These people do. The mayor does.
Okay, what is it? Other cities, wait,
Let's give them,
yes.
let's give them time. Again, if we can, as a council, present y'all with our questions. We'll come up with our strategy, our goals, our tactics. And go.
Because this time we need to do it right.
Yeah,
If it wasn't right the last time, let's do it right this time.
Well, I don't want
In agreement.
Yeah, well, it's not that they did anything wrong. It's that we as a community, for those that advocated for the tax, I've been doing this now for 10 years. I know Chief Grady that night was kind of distraught because he immediately said, well, I was going to hire another officer for an open position that we have. I'm going to wait. He told me that night. So that's real numbers and real effect right then. Now, do we need that officer? Josh, to your point, I don't know. He thinks we do. Because he thinks he'll get more coverage in the city, but you're right. When you're at 100% right, we need to wait and ask the questions and let them do that analysis.
We also need to assume where it's reasonable to do so that our city leaders are credible and honest people in their recommendations.
And I believe they are.
And there's no problem with us asking for justification. I don't have a problem with any of our city leaders, any of you guys, or myself. If anyone were to ask me to justify something, I would hope that I would be able to.
Can we have
But
questions to them in the next couple of weeks?
I've already asked Luke.
got my list.
I've already peppered Luke with questions, and certainly Chief Grady and Mark Lowry have called him 2 or 3 times since the vote,
So let's put on the agenda for our next city council meeting to review those questions and then let's pass them over to the city leaders. Answer.
Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments?
So we just need to have a written questions.
Our questions
For
prepared
the
before the
department
next
heads.
city council meeting.
Are we going to
Give
ask
them to-
them?
The department head should already have it before next meeting.
Right, they need them
Yes.
before the meeting comes up.
Okay,
Well, I'd like the questions in 2 weeks and then I was gonna suggest we give you another 2 weeks to respond, but
oh yeah, that's great.
So just please be sure to not circulate the questions amongst yourself, because that would constitute a public meeting. You can email directly to department heads or administration, but not amongst yourselves.
Right.
Yeah, I won't be spending any time with these people.
Can we ask the questions that we're going to
You
present?
yeah, you
Can we all ask them during that? These are the questions that I have that I'm gonna ask
you're a council
During
member,
next-
you can ask.
meeting.
It's your meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
I wouldn't ask the television crews.
Any other comments? All right, next on the agenda is mayor's comments, and I don't have any comments, reference city. But I am gonna make this statement. I'm a proud grandfather. And tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock, I get up and drive to Joplin, Missouri for the Joplin Globe Spelling Bee for Southwest Missouri. My 10-year-old grandson won his school district and now he's competing tomorrow, hopefully to go higher. So y'all think about that. All right,
That's great.
we need an adjournment.
Let's go to the house.
Meeting adjourned.